Good morning and welcome to the weekly Wednesday webinar. This week we are talking about geotechnical data using the Linked Data Manager, or LDM. You'll hear me call it LDM quite often. This is Denise Broom in the Engineering CAD Systems office. Let's get started here. I don't have much as far as slides. We're going to be doing most of this in MicroStation. But basically, what we're going to be showing this morning is how to create a soil survey sheet using MicroStation and LDM. Typically, the soil survey sheet is a sheet that is developed, created by the Geotech or Materials Office to be included in a set of roadway plans. I'm going to show you how to use a Create Project File tool in order to create the MicroStation DGN file so that it meets DOT standards. We're going to use the FDOT menu to place the sheet borders, and then we're going to look at using LDM, give you some basics, and we're going to create links in Excel. I'm going to show you how to create another one, a text link, as well as an optional Word document if that's what you wanted to do. All right. So when Select Series 3 or any one of our workspaces is installed onto your machine, you'll have a directory icon that you can open up, and I just double-clicked on it. And it has different tools in here, either to open up MicroStation, but the one I want to show you is to create files. If you don't have a file to start with, Create File Project is a good tool to use. Basically, you go in and you set your project settings in order to select your project. And in this case, I'm using CE Projects SS3 and the project number. And that's as far as I want to browse out to, is the root or the project number for my directory. I'm going to tell it OK. And then OK again. When you first open this, it will come up. You'll have to set the directory. The workspace will automatically be set to your workspace, which in this case it's SS3. And then my control file, I'm going to go in and I'm going to select the geotech.ctl file. And that opens this up so that I have the correct options in here that's set up by standard. So I'm going to select the roadway soil survey sheet, and it knows what name to give it, and it's going to put it in my geotech folder. And it sets the correct seed files and everything else that I need. So once I have that set up, I tell it to create, and it'll tell me that it successfully creates it. And then I'm going to ask it to open the file, and that'll kick off MicroStation in our workspace, and it takes it a minute. All right. Now that MicroStation has opened, I am going to go over here to usually there's a set scale dialog that comes up, which really we don't need to worry about the plot scale because many of our tools, including LDM, does not use the plot scale. If I needed to change it, I could go to Actions, set the plot scale of the file. When you're talking about data sheets, it doesn't matter if you use a scale of 1 or if you want to use a scale of 10 or a scale of 50. I'm going to go ahead and just leave it at the 50 because, like I said, it's not going to use the plot scale. Okay, the next thing that I want to do before I even get started with LDM is I need to have my plan sheet border placed into my file. So I'm going to go to Actions, Sheet, Plan Sheet, and it's going to bring it up. In Select Series 3, you'll notice that instead of it coming in at whatever our plot scale is, it's set to a scale of 1 because we're moving towards using the drawing scale. I can leave this at a scale of 1, or I can set it at a scale of 10. In this example, I'm just going to leave it at a scale of 1, and I'm going to tell it OK. And data point in my file in order to place the border. We do have the data fields on. If you use, it's really a personal preference. Our plot drivers should be set up when you go to print so that they do not print. However, you can turn them off. You can type Control-B, or you can come up here to View Attributes and turn off the data fields. And the next thing I want to go into is I'm going to go into Actions, and we're going to go ahead and open up Linked Data Manager. Basically, what I need is I need Link Data Manager to create the template file that I need for the soil survey data. So I'm going to go create new from template, and I'm going to select the option for sheets, and then I am going to select the roadway soil survey and tell it OK. It's going to ask me where do I want to save this file at, and I'm going to put it in the Geotech folder. All right, so there's my data, and I'm going to tell it to save. Once it's saved the file, then this part of my dialog is going to change. So the first thing I have to do is select a file. Then the next thing I need to do is select my worksheet. I'm going to tell it sheet 1. For most of the DOT templates, you should not have to worry about header rows, widths, offsets, any of this other information. It'll come in just like it needs to without doing anything to those. The graphics settings, those are settings that tell MicroStation how it needs to translate from my source file to the levels and symbology that I need to use within MicroStation. We have that set up already under FDOT, and it's set to standard. Okay, leave that on. If you did change and you wanted to use a 10 scale or a 50 scale, you can turn on use drawing scale. Since mine is at a scale of 1, I'm just going to leave that off. And then I'm going to tell it to update the graphics. Updating graphics on file open basically reads, when you open this file again, it will read the data that is in the source file. And then if it's different, it updates the information in my file to whatever is in the source file. Okay, once I have everything set on my dialog, I'm going to tell it OK. And when it gets done processing, you'll see it sitting here on the end of my cursor. The sheets have been set up so that whenever I bring in any of the sheet files, I can snap to this top corner of the blue border and then accept it to place the link. And it should place your link in the correct position within your plan sheet. Now this is a blank, there's nothing in it yet, okay, but this is the standard template. I can right click from my link and tell it to open up that source file. And that opens up Excel, right? In the sheets that you guys have out now, what I have right here is a little bit newer. I've made some changes, which will go out in the release coming this July, but there may be some things that you will want to change. I'm pretty sure that this was set to centered. You can change this to left justified. All of the, where you're going to put in your information, okay, that's all of this. You would come in here and you can right click, go to format cells, or you can double check and see, make sure that it's all center justified if that's what you want. I didn't grab all the columns, but they are center justified. If you wanted the description column instead of being center justified, you can come in here, right click, and go to format cells. I'm showing you the other option because I can set it here, or I can go into the format cells dialog, go to the alignment, and set it horizontally, set it to the left or set it to the right. Typically, I think that would be either to the left or centered, and I can tell that OK. All right. And then at this point, I can then come in and put in all of my data. Another tip on how this has been set up, these you can just go in and just start typing. Okay. To get this lined up, this one in particular, if you were to start typing, you're going to overwrite this. So you want to double click within the cell so that your cursor is actually inside the cell to start typing in your text. So this, say, was 22, and actually I want to grab the whole thing. Just highlight it, 220495555201. And I forgot the dashes. There's a dash there and a dash there. Okay. I would do the same thing with the project name. Come in here, type in whatever information that I needed to, fill out all of this other information, and then save the file. Okay. And then I can leave Excel open or not. And what I'm going to do, I already have I already have the Excel spreadsheet that Michelle showed live. And what I'd like to do is I'm going to show you another option in here is that, okay, I have the soil survey. I'm going to go to standard and tell it to explore my current working directory. Okay, and what that does is it opens up, see it blinking down here, my working directory so that I can see what's in here. So what I want to do is go in here and I'm going to name this something else because what it's remembering is the name of the file. And I'm just going to put ECSO in here. And so that my link is seeing the one that has the actual data in it that I want to show, I'm going to rename the other one. All right, so then I'm going to minimize that. And if I come in here and I tell it to update now, it takes it a second processing all of the information, you'll see that all of this data has been pulled in and it's from that other file with all the information. There's a couple of things that you're going to notice in here whenever you place it. There may be, depending on the data that you have, you may wind up and see, like right here, under the 40 mesh, I have some word wrap going on. I also have the same thing going on over here under the resistivity column. How do I need to alleviate that? Okay, you do not want to come in and use your MicroStation tools in order to do that. Can I? Why, certainly. I could come in here and edit text and take that return out and it would come in like it needs to be. But it is not, if you want to use this file to its full extent, like you came in, had to add more information to this document, or I needed to come in and make some changes to anything that was in here, I lose the power behind using LDM if I use the MicroStation tools. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to open that source file again. Okay, and the way to alleviate the word wrap is to come in here, find where it's at, that's the 40 mesh, and I'm going to take this column width and I'm going to make it just a little bit wider. Sometimes this is trial and error. Usually if it's just one character, you can bump it out to like 1 or 2. All right, so I've basically widened out these columns just a little bit. So then once I've changed that, all I need to do is save the file. Okay, minimize that, and then come back into MicroStation and tell it to update now. And you'll notice that when I updated it, I no longer have word wrap in here. That one I still do, so that was where, like I said, trial and error comes in. I only opened it up one space, so let's give it a little bit more. Tell it to save the file, go back into MicroStation, and update now. And once I have this set, then I know that from then on out that I don't have to worry about that column having word wrap unless the data that I put in it is something larger than what's there. There we go. So now I've eliminated the word wrap that was going on in the resistivity as well as the 40 mesh. The next thing that, let me just fit view. Okay, the next thing that I want to show you is I want to come in here and there are usually some soil stratum notes. I'll go to create a new link. All right, that's the first little icon. I'm going to tell it create new from template. And let's see if I have it in here or not. One option is to use text notes. Basically what's happened when you get to select series 3 is that the list of notes that are sitting out here have been reduced dramatically. If it's not in the PPM, then I eliminated it from here. I'm going to go a different way to get this set of notes. When you get the next update, if you go create new from template and go to text notes, it will be sitting in here. Let me really quick copy this file that you are looking for. Copy this file. One thing about LDM is that in order for it to create a link to the source file, it has to be within my working directory. In other words, it's got to be in one of these folders right here. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and just put this in the geotech folder for now. So what you will find is a soil stratum notes.txt. Cancel out of that. Instead of using create new from template, I'm going to go over here to the select existing file option. Click on the button, and it's going to take you to your working directory. All right. At the bottom, since I want a TXT file, I need to change the file type from Excel to text files. I'll see the soil stratum notes.txt, and I'm going to tell it to open. All right. You'll notice that under the text settings that this has changed. All right. Then it has, the max number of lines, and in this case, what this does is it tells it how many lines of text do I use before it basically creates another column of text. All right. I don't think we need to worry about it. I think there's like 3 lines in this particular file. I'm going to tell it to update the graphics on file open, tell it OK. And then I have text notes. All right. In order to modify this, I would go in to open the source, and it's going to open it up in Notepad. It is clay. Maybe stratum 2 is, I'm not a geotech person, but I just want to show you an example. You put the information in here, tell it to save the document. Save that, replace it, yes, it's done. So now I can, just like I did before with the Excel file, tell it to update now, and you'll notice that the information is now in here. Another option to get your soil stratum notes in here is to use the Excel document. I can go and open up that source file, okay? Go to the bottom, and down here, let's just bring it out. And I would merge all of these. There's an option up here on the ribbon. It says merge and center. But I also I don't want it centered in here. I want it left justified. So I'm going to tell it to left justify it. Okay. And if I want space in between them, it should be okay to just do it just like this. And do the same thing, merge and center, make it left. We had 3 notes. Merge and center, make it left. Now to make this easy, I'm going to open this source file again. I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to paste it into here. But what I want to do, instead of pasting it directly, and paste. The other thing that I'm noticing here, and I'm going to grab all 3 of these at the same time, is that I don't like the way it centered it at the bottom of the cell. So I'm going to go format the cell, go to alignment, and instead of the vertical being at the bottom, I'm going to change this to center. So that's okay. Oh, I know what it did. There's an extra line in there. I got the return. I'm going to grab this material. I'm going to copy that. Go in here and paste it. I'm going to paste it again. Just so I have 3 sitting in here. All right, so then I'm going to save it. I'm going to go back into my Excel file. I'm going to remove this link. Doesn't delete the source file, but I can delete the link and the graphics from within my file by using this button, delete link and graphics. If I want to have just graphics and don't want to have the link information, so I can't use LDM with it anymore, I'd use delete link. But in this case, I want to delete the link and the graphics. Okay. And I'll tell it okay. And now it's gone. Now the file is still out there. I didn't lose any information. Did I save that file? Make sure you save the Excel file or it doesn't do anything. All right. Now I'm going to go in here and I'm going to tell it to update now. Give it a second. And there it is. Okay. So that's another option. Now, these are pretty short notes. Another thing that I would like to show you with this presentation is sometimes when you're working in Excel, you will have what appears to be a really long Excel cell, like we've created here. See how it goes way across to grading? If I go in here and I start typing, word wrap in a cell using text style. Okay, so now I have some extra data that's sitting in this cell, and it should fit in MicroStation just fine, right? So if I save this, okay, and those changes, and maybe you have a note that is extra long and you need it in here, but then whenever you go into MicroStation, all right, and you go to update that with the extra information, you notice how it gave me word wrap, okay? So what I want to do is go into this particular file, and I'm going to go to Element, Text Styles, and in this text styles, I want to go down to the FDOT bold small, okay? And then I want to come over to the line length, and I want to change the line length, and I'm going to make it something huge, okay? So say 500, all right? And then I'm going to save it, okay? So when I make that change, that means that that's being written to the text style in this MicroStation design file, okay? It doesn't affect what's in the library, so it's only in this file, all right? Once I make that change, you'll notice now that it no longer word wraps down here. It is now all on one line, okay? There are a few others. I know the flood data, that's another box that you can, or a sheet that you can, I think it's under miscellaneous actually. If you were to create that, that's going to give you a problem. There is a pretty big note that is put in there, and it doesn't make it all the way to the other end. It like goes on like maybe a little over halfway, and that's where it puts, it's like there's a margin set in there. Well, the margin got set through the text style. This is what you need to do to fix that now. In the future, I'm going to be adding another text style to our library that I will have LDM use that will have that line spacing set out to something really big, so that it then will go in, and when you're using Excel, it will use the correct distance, so that if it goes all the way across the cell, then it comes out right. You may still have some limitations. What you see is not necessarily what you get as far as the spacing. Even though it looks right in Excel, this is one of those hard ones. Sometimes it's still a matter of your column width. You don't have enough merged cells pulled together to put all of this text in, then it's going to word wrap on you. Okay, so if you make a change to the text style and it still word wraps on you, go look at your column widths. Maybe you need to grab an extra cell or two and merge all of them together a little further out to make it come out like you need it to. There's one more option that I do want to show you, and this is something coming soon. You guys should be seeing this in the next release, is Word documents. We have some standard templates sitting out there that if you are more comfortable using Word, then you can use these templates. And for a text that would be sitting down here at the bottom, then I would use the quarter sheet. All of these are based on a plan sheet at a scale of 1. Okay, so but if I use the drawing scale, it will make them bigger, smaller to my plan sheet, just like everything else does. But the quarter sheet, so it'd be 1/4 of my plan sheet. And I'm just going to go ahead and create a template, and I'll tell it OK. It's going to ask me where do I want to put it. I'm going to tell it I want it in my Geotech folder. And I'm going to rename this Soil Stratum. I can name this anything that I want to. Okay. And then I'm going to tell it to save that doc into that directory. You'll notice I have a few extra options here. I have page spacing as well as page boundary. Page spacing is the distance between pages. And you have to really think of Word docs as pages. I'm going to leave the page boundary on just so that you can see what I'm talking about. I'm going to leave it set to the standard settings, tell it to update graphics, and tell it OK. So if I were to, for example, this is not where we're going to place it, but you can see, I just wanted you to see that that is a quarter of my plan sheet. So I'm just going to place this down here at the bottom where I know my notes are going to go. And I have information inside of this Word doc. If I open up the source file, that gives you some basic information about it. I recommend you guys using 0 for the page spacing, and it is 7.7 by 4.8. And I can come in here and start putting in text. I've already set it to FDOT bold for your font, and I've set it to a size of 8, which is the 0.07 standard at a scale of 1. All right, if I wanted to go in here, and you can get quite a bit on a quarter sheet. Let me make this a little bit bigger so that you get the idea of what's going on here. You notice this is like a little bitty sheet, okay? Not what you're used to when you look at in Word. It has a customized page size. And that's why I said you want to think of this as pages. So if I had enough information, then I would have data here too. All right, and it could keep going, and then I have as many sheets as I would possibly need. And I'm doing this just so you can see what it does. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and save this file. I'm going to minimize Word, and then I'm going to update it. So this is coming soon, but you can do this with any Word doc now. You can create your own Word document. Remember I said I was leaving on the page boundary so that you could actually see the actual page boundaries, this blue line in here. So I have this page, and then I have a second page, and you can see the text is different because it's in yellow. It's on a different level. Okay, so if I go back, and how do I get rid of these lines? Right-click on my link and go to Properties. First thing I'm going to show you is the page spacing of 0. I'll tell it OK. You notice that the 2 lines is now 1. All right, so that's one thing you need to do. And if I go to Properties again, I can turn off that page boundary, and then it looks like what I'm used to seeing whenever I have notes. So my notes would go here and then there. How do I control this? You can see some of it. Maybe you need, depending on the text, maybe you need more space between your columns. I could then come in here and go actually open up the source, which is open, and I can set that through page layout. I can set that through my margins. I can go to custom margins, make them whatever that I would want them to be, and hit cancel. And the other thing is like in this case where I've set them, in my page boundary, when I had it on, you showed it went way beyond the bottom. I can come in here and change the page size and go to more paper sizes at the bottom and customize this. So instead of 4.8, let me put in 2.5 and then tell it OK. So now this thinks it's 3 sheets, and I'm going to save that file, and then I'm going to go up to Properties, and I'm going to have it turn this page boundary back on just so you can see what it did. So see how that controls where it's going to flip into my next column of notes or whatever it is that I may be putting in there. And then that third page is shoved way over here. This is the way that it works, and I just wanted you guys to understand how it works. And that's pretty much everything that I wanted to show you today. We've placed a soil survey sheet. I've given you different options as far as modifying your source files, whether they're in Excel, they're in just a plain text file, or in a Word doc. Hopefully the information is beneficial and helps you guys do your job more efficiently. If you need anything at all, you can contact the CADD office, and we'd be more than happy to help you. And I guess that's it. I hope you guys have a wonderful day and rest of your week, and we will be talking to you again soon.